Ajá.
Ok, hola. Uy,
Hola,
son
hola.
en punto. Wow, 10 on the dot. I try to
Perfecto.
turn off that previous meeting I have at 9 o'clock because it seems I always have this funny glitch if I don't delete. Not only do I turn off the old meeting, I have to delete the old meeting. Why is that? If you've ended it, isn't it over? Anyway. Estás en Illinois, Laura.
Sí,
Diana.
sí, sí.
Diana, perdón. Ya. Wow, estás en Illinois. Ya.
Illinois,
Y
23 grados en la mañana.
23. Wow.
23, sí.
Por la mañana cae.
Sí,
En abril.
sí.
Sí. Pero la temperatura en pleno día, right in the middle of the day, sí, llega a las 50, ¿no? Llega a las 50.
50. No, 40.
40, uy, a veces 40 todavía.
45, sí.
Hace fresco en abril.
Sí.
Hace fresco. Mi cuñada y mi sobrina y mi cuñado corrieron en una maratón en Chicago el fin de... Y todos tenían los gorros y chaquetas y hacía mucho frío el día de la maratón. ¡Wow!
Pero hace sol, hace sol. Hace
Ok,
sol.
sí, sí. Y es buena cosa. Cuando hace sol en Chicago es buen día. When you get a sunny day in Chicago, it's a good day. Eso es, muy bien. Ok, vamos a practicar con muchas cosas. Quiero empezar, vamos a practicar principalmente con condicional. This whole thing of why we would want to use the conditional is something we want to really take kind of a deep dive into today, so you can see examples of why and do your little cube practices and why. I'm going to show the screen that, if you like to pull up the files, what you will need, if you need to pull, and we'll have this up around anywhere, anyway, but this, which came from these files on El Condicional. If you need to pull up a file on your computer or pull up, if you like to print that kind of stuff, that is the item you will need for today's class. Just a quick reminder. And a quick reminder that signups are underway. If you are a person who has children and they need summer swim lessons, get those things, get them signed up now. Those summer swim lessons, man, I remember back in the day, they book and they're gone. So, okay.
Maybe you could fill up your classes if you offered them at the pool. You could have the parents join in right there live at the pool.
Yeah, mom's only class. Oh my gosh.
Because I think the Scottsdale guide says it's only room in your classes for like 100 people.
Oh my gosh, I remember. Actually, it's very crowded at those pools in the summer. I remember as a mom, it was the busiest thing. Kids running everywhere, and then the adults trying to swim. Who are finishing up laps and lap time. But they have a very, very, very good program for summer swimming for sure.
Nuestra clase necesita ¿cuántas personas?
8.
Nuestra clase. 8.
El número mínimo es 8. We need 8,
okay.
Which I think we should be very likely to get. Because, they were pretty fast. It was pretty fast starting spring and a pretty quick transition to, now we're going to sign you up for summer. So yeah, people get caught a little bit flat-footed with that summer registration. There's plenty of time for people to sign up still. Okay. Antes de practicar con el condicional, before practicing with conditional, vamos a ver el artículo de la mujer que se mudó a España con su mamá, bien. Este artículo aquí de mi mamá se retiró a España, se jubiló, se retiró. Retirar technically is withdraw. So yeah, I guess you're kind of, well, you're withdrawing from the workforce. Retirarse is also used for retiring. And even though that is a direct, it looks like a direct cognate, you really do hear jubilar more, and jubilar did pop up later in the article. Se retiró a España en busca de una mejor calidad de vida. No sabía que me incluiría mudarme con ella. I didn't know it would include. There's your first use of conditional for the day. And I guess the side note of today's lesson is you're going to start to see all kinds of tenses mixed. But, conditional, I'm going to say conditional is super useful. So later after this article, we are going to look at a lot of uses for the conditional that are very specific to the conditional. Conditional, you won't hear plugged in, I think, as continually in a conversation as presente, as pretérito, as imperfecto. Okay. Even really subjunctive is pretty continual in everyday conversation. Condicional won't be everywhere. It won't be ever like a whole article all in conditional. It's just not needed because of the context of conditional. But it's interesting that we do see it here and there. So I didn't know that it would include moving with her. And it would include is indicating that hypothetical situation, okay? Y aquí tenemos tres ideas centrales, ideas principales, que mi mamá se mudó de Estados Unidos a Andalucía, España, después de jubilarse. Y aquí tenemos jubilarse. Here we've got, retire, that retire word. No hemos tenido que pagar más de $3 por recetas. Recetas aquí son prescriptions. Receta, es posible que usamos receta para recipe, pero aquí receta no es recipe, es prescriptions. No hemos tenido que pagar más de $3 por recetas. We haven't had to pay more than $3 for prescriptions. Y nunca recibimos facturas de los médicos. We never get bills from doctors. La gente en Andalucía tiene paciencia con ella y me pregunta por ella cuando no está conmigo. People in Andalusia have patience with her and they ask me about her. Me pregunta por ella would mean they ask me about her health. Yeah, they ask me about her cuando no está conmigo, when she's not with me. Preguntar por ella is to ask about somebody. Even though por isn't traditionally what you think of as about. Okay. Bien. ¿Hay alguna pregunta del artículo o no?
It's good.
Sí. You want to go first, Diana?
No, go ahead.
All right.
And we've got a
see.
little, and I'm seeing very quickly while you're formulating your question. Uy, ¿dónde está? ¿Dónde está? Uy.
I think this one is about the 5th paragraph from the bottom.
Oh, okay. And these are pretty short paragraphs.
Una solicitud cita. And I guess that just means instead of she puts something, she makes makes a date with the doctor instead of she puts a date. I thought that was an unusual way to use poner. Oh,
Oh,
second page on the bottom.
okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I just wanted to point one thing out.
Sure.
Uno de cada 5 estadounidenses tendría más de 65 años entre 2010 y 2030. So I want to point out, here is another conditional that we don't use it as continually or as frequently as that preterite or present or imperfect or even subjunctive, but 1 out of every 5 U.S. citizens would be, and this again is highlighting that hypothetical situation, would be between over 65 between 2010 and 2030. So this is about the boomer retirement span, yeah, and people retiring. Okay, vamos a ver. La quinta, el quinto párrafo, fifth one, uno,
At the
dos,
bottom of the
tres.
second page. Let's see, here we go. Si requiere un
Si requiere.
especialista.
Si requiere un especialista, if she requires a specialist, el consultorio, and that is just a fancier word for office. Offices for professional people like doctors, lawyers, therapists are often not called oficinas. Even the
Oh.
dentista, they're often called consultorio because
then
it's a consulting room.
The pone, the use of
pone-
pone there.
Una solicitud. Solicitud is a solicitation, application,
Request?
request. Yeah. Puts in a request for an appointment.
Oh, okay, she puts in a request. That
Right.
makes more sense.
Put in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Put
to
in.
Then in the next paragraph.
Kind of like
perhaps-
submit.
Oh, okay. They
And
use
here-
the letter oo instead of o for or.
Ooh,
Right here, magnética. Nunca hemos recibo un factura por un médico. Resonancia magnética otras. Why do they use rather than
okay. Why is ooh used rather than oh? Easy look at the word after ooh.
Oh, okay.
It starts with the sound of oh. When we use the word oh for or, the only time that gets a little tweak is when oh to say or, the word following it starts with the sound oh, and that might be flat out the first letter is oh, or if it's an HO, because of course H is silent. So I'm going to show you an example of that. And this is easy. This happens with 2 words, and it's good for you to just be aware because you won't see this happen a lot, pero es útil. It's useful to know so that you don't wonder. This word, when it means or, it's usually just going to be but if the word following it starts with the sound, I have to change it to u. Okay, entonces, por ejemplo, esperamos 7 u 8 horas. We waited 7 or 8 hours.
Okay, that makes sense.
This is just a phonetic thing. It's
Okay.
what they do. It's because I've got the next word here. I don't want to say 8 horas. It's too much effort for the muscles of the
Yeah.
mouth to do that. That's the only
That
reason.
makes sense.
Bien. So if and the next word there was otra, right? Or otra.
Yes. Yeah.
So right, if we use the word or and the word after or which normally would be O, starts with an O. We need that little word O. And the same thing happens with Y when it means and. It changes to E
Mhm.
if you've got an E sound. So llamamos, por ejemplo, llamamos, we're calling, let's call, llamamos a Luis e Inés. Let's call these two folks. Luis e Inés. I can't say Luis y Inés because the word after and, normally it would be E, starts with an E sound. I have to change that to this A. Those are two little words that do a flip because they're single letter words. And
Okay.
you'll see them as a blip on the radar screen from time to time. You
That
won't
makes
see them a
sense.
lot, but you'll see them from time to time. Okay, vale. Hay otra pregunta del artículo. Was there anything else in there that you didn't quite get? And I want to point out, here's another one. Here's another example of when we might need condicional. En caso de emergencia, nos enviarían al hospital. In case of an emergency, they would send us to the hospital, would send us, if it were necessary. Donde su información ya estaría en el sistema para ingreso y tratamiento, where their information would already be in the system to check in and do treatment, for registration and treatment. So this condicional, right? Estaría, enviarían, tendría earlier in the article. It will pop up every once in a while and just know that it means something would happen. Okay, this is one of the frequent, this is the prime use, the frequent use, but there's another use we're going to talk about a little bit later on that's a little more practically oriented. Okay, hay otra pregunta del artículo. Is there any other question about that?
I had one more vocab question.
Okay.
It's in the next paragraph after that. It talks about her having the walking stick and it fell on the floor. And then it uses the word desviven, and it means they live. What's the DES part in there?
I'm trying to find it.
Somewhere in that paragraph.
In this paragraph here?
Right here.
La cultura
Yeah.
andaluz valora a sus ciudadanos mayores. Andalusian culture values its older citizens, and that is very true. A lot
Here,
of
the
this,
third line.
en
al
cada
menos
evento social, los abuelos están tan involucrados en las festividades como cualquier otra persona. In every social event, grandparents are involved. Involucrados means involved. In festivities as any other person, cualquier otra persona, any other person at all. Cuando el bastón de mi mamá cae al suelo, when my mom's cane, walking stick, right, falls to the ground, al menos dos personas se desviven por recogerlo. Bien.
Desviven.
Desvivir is a verb you're not going to hear a lot of, so it's not something you really need to plug in to daily conversation, but it would mean go out of their way or do their very most, do their utmost, to do their very best.
Okay.
At least two people go out of their way. Go out of their way. se desviven por, go out of their way to pick it up. Recoger is pick it up.
Oh, okay.
Recogerlo, to pick it up. So somebody jumps to pick up the cane.
Okay, I missed
Okay.
that somehow.
Bien.
Thanks.
Los comerciantes son pacientes mientras ella metódicamente pone su dinero en su billetera. Yeah, merchants are patient while she methodically puts her money back in her wallet. How many times have you stood behind somebody in the checkout and they're kind of taking their time? And I noticed this more during snowbird season where I live, and our median age shoots way up in my town. Hey, the streets are clearing out in Fountain Hills right now. I want you to know I can actually not wait in line at the stop signs anymore. But
At least we don't have to wait in line behind someone who's writing a check.
oh, es lo peor. Wow, is that not the worst thing?
Yeah.
Se puede creerlo. Can you believe it? Sí, de vez en cuando, cuando estoy esperando en la cola en el supermercado, a veces, de vez en cuando, hay alguien que está escribiendo un cheque para pagar en el súper. Y casi no lo puedo creer. I almost cannot believe it. Que alguien sí todavía pague con cheque. Somebody still might be paying with a check, pero así es. Sí. Y requiere paciencia. It requires patience, ¿no? Ok. A ver. Ok. Bueno, hay otra pregunta. Ustedes tienen buenas preguntas. You have good questions.
Should we be, oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Diane.
Should we be trying to read this pretty much without the dictionary? I mean, should we be trying to get the gist of this?
Actually, I had a very good guide mark for my evening class with this, because I have some folks who are very meticulous and they want to look up like every fifth word. And you should really refrain from doing that. So when you get an article like this, here is my advice. I would say give yourself a limit and be strict. Give yourself a limit of between 3 to 5 words, and only allow yourself to look up 3 to 5 words and try to get the rest from context. Okay, buena pregunta, what a good question. And I probably should have given you that advice before I sent you off with this article. But, okay, por ejemplo, if I were to give myself a limit of words, and I'm thinking too, if I were at this level, what kind of words might I pick as I gotta look this up? Maybe that word. There's a word.
I did look that one up.
Okay, so I would say when you get an article, try for like a limit of 3 to 5 words and look up no more and see what you can get from context. So let me do a quick run through of things you would need to do. Actually, even before that, I would probably need to look up this word. This is not something you're probably going to hear a lot in conversation. Desvié. And she's talking about herself. A los 4. We know this is not her mom. Or a las 4. A los 40. Perdón. A los 40. At 40. So she's talking about her age. A los 40 años. The word omitted is años, it's implied, yeah? At 40, and you know that desvié is going to be a verb. And you know, it's a yo form. It's a preterite. It's an e con acento. So it's an AR verb. So that comes from desviar. Desviar. Okay. So this is a word you'd probably need to look up even before cotidiana. Perdón.
I sort of interpret it as set aside or put on the side.
You're very close. You're very, very close. So desviar. So desvié mi carrera. I did something with my career como escritor para reunirme con mi mamá de 73 años. I did something with my career to get together with my mom at the age of 73 in a town in the south of Spain. So probably you got the idea of now she's going to a different country, right? So desviar is to change course, to take a detour, if you will, take a detour, desviar. And that des is a very minor clue that it means something that's a not idea. So not touring, but a detour means you're not going straight through, but you're going around, right? I took a detour with, or I changed course with my career. Yeah. But desviar is a word you probably wouldn't know. You might kind of be able to get it from context, but this cotidiana, you probably couldn't get from context. We've always been close, cercanos. See, sometimes you hear the word unidos used for close. We would occasionally fight about daily stuff.
Daily.
Cotidiana means everyday stuff. La vida cotidiana is daily life. The ins and out of every single day. That's cotidiano. That actually, cotidiana, is a good word to put in your pocket to use.
The dia in that is really well hidden.
Yeah. Las cosas cotidianas, the daily, to talk about daily things. Daily things. Cotidiana is the everyday stuff. Day in, day out, day in, day out. Okay, bien. Mudarme con mi pareja a un país extranjero. Extranjero is, you get X that's outside of. Extranjero means abroad. Outside of your native country is extranjero. País extranjero is foreign country, okay? Moving with my partner to a foreign country, yeah? Para estar con ella, to be with her. In order to be with her, fue un riesgo personal y profesional, was a personal and professional risk.
Yes.
Incluso como arreglo temporal. Okay. What you're going for is the big idea here.
Mhm.
That this was a big step. It involved changing her professional, things with her career, things with her daily life. Okay. And now we've got a verb that we have. Vi el beneficio de vivir en un país. I saw the benefit of living in a country that values its older population. It's elderly. Anciano looks like ancient. You probably don't need to look that word up. That's not in your list of 3 to 5. Yeah. Anciano means ancient. It means elderly. There you go. That's all you need to know. Bien. So, bueno. Un informe is a report. Informe is a good word to know. And you know that talks about informing, report. You might be able to get that from context. Llamado just means called. A report called, filling the geriatric breach or opening. Yeah, brecha is a breach. Estimo comes from estimar. It's pretty much a cognate. So estimar is estimated. Yeah. The informe estimó, estimated, that almost 1 out of every 5 U.S. citizens would be over 65 between these years. Okay, we got the general idea. El autor planteó una pregunta importante. Planteo looks like planted. How would we phrase that in English? Probably posed that question, right? Posed an important question. ¿Está preparado el sistema de salud de Estados Unidos para una población que envejece? And there is a word that maybe you can get from context because of what we're talking about. We're talking about the over 65 population. Is the U.S. health system prepared for a population that is doing something?
Aging.
Envejecer means getting older, aging. And buried within there is that little root that viejo comes from. Even though you don't have V-I-E-J-O, yeah? Envejecer is the verb morph from that word viejo. Yeah. So that's something you might have gotten from context. Maybe, yeah. Relevante is a word you don't need to look up. It means relevant, right? The question continues being relevant continued, perdón. Kept on being relevant in 1998 when my mom was retiring at the age of 60. As president of an art school in Philadelphia. And interesting that they spell Philadelphia with an F-A because PH doesn't exist in that Greek thing that we take it from. Y había decidido and had, and you know it's a past idea. And you know that decidir would mean decide. So instead of just decided, she had decided. Había decidido, had decided. You can kind of infer that knowing that haber would mean a have or a had, and this is a had idea with decided. Had decided to expand as consultora, consultant in international programs. Su pensión, you can figure that out. Y algunas pequeñas inversiones and some small, inversión, you might need to look that up. Inversión es útil. Inversión is a useful word to know. Inversión means investment. And that sure looks, an inversion and an investment in English, that does not equate as a cognate. That's super helpful. Inversión is investment. Her pension and small investments. But here we've got a useful conditional, would serve. Hypothetically, would serve as income, ingreso. Ingreso es income.
She was able to take her.
Yeah. Ingreso, is there an English for that? Wow, there might be.
Mine said income.
Yeah, income, money coming in. That's ingreso, money coming in. Hasta que pudiera tomar su distribución de seguro social. So you know she was retiring before taking out that Social Security fund. So until she would be able to take her Social Security distributions. So, and we use that word distribución for distribution in Social Security. So that's not a big leap to have to look that up. We got the chance. Oportunidad here does mean opportunity, but we would plug in the word chance for that. So know that oportunidad does mean opportunity, but a lot of times we use it in the sense that we would use chance in English to share a house in Andalucía. Okay. And convertirse, become. So we put it in past, it means became, right? Okay. Empacaría. Became a chance. Empacaría y se iría. Wow, there's lots of conditional in here. No wonder I chose this one. Would pack up and would take off. Por completo is like saying at long last, like final chapter, closing that book, por completo. Yeah. So she was packing it up and that was it. Bye-bye, I'm out of here, right? I don't recall having spoken with her about this decision. So mom just decided this on her. Good for her. Good for her. I'm the only daughter. Soy la única hija. And I had not considered, and you don't need to look that up.
Logistics of
I
traveling.
had not considered the logistics of doing what? Traveling?
Foreign travel to see her.
Right, of traveling abroad. So extranjero can mean foreign when it's a description, but I'm going to point out this vocabulary thing. Before it was used as país extranjero. País extranjero es foreign country, and there extranjero is a describer. But here it's al extranjero. And el extranjero as a noun, not an adjective, becomes abroad.
Abroad.
Oh.
So viajar al extranjero is traveling abroad. Bien?
Sí.
Okay. Mudanza comes from that same idea of mudarse. So mudanza is the noun morphing of
the move.
mudarse. So if mudarse is to move your residence, la mudanza means the move, meaning moving your residence. Okay. And this move was permanent for her. Era descripción. Okay. My partner and I spent a couple of years traveling between LA and Spain. Okay. Pero finalmente decidimos instalarnos en España. And instalarnos looks like install, but you can kind of guess from context.
Settle.
Settle, yeah, settle in. And if you install something, you're setting it up in a permanent basis, right? So that word instalarse, you could set aside as I won't choose that as one of my 3 to 5 words to look up. I'll guess that it means set ourselves up in, because that's what it means. Settle into life. Instalarse is to set yourself up or settle into a place. Para nosotros la mudanza también es permanente. For us, the move is also permanent. Todos vivimos en la misma propiedad, pero en diferentes casas. We live on the same property, but different houses. So it's probably split up into little, like condo kind of, or townhouse kind of things. That's what I would get. Preocuparse is to worry about. Me preocupé por ella en un país extranjero solo. I worried about her in a foreign country alone, her being alone in a foreign country. Yeah. Okay. Bien. But you get the idea here, right? And we actually went through a number of these things. You know, the idea in general was that the healthcare tends to be more inclusive, I'm really wondering from this how she must have gotten a fairly permanent visa. And I know there are very strict requirements of how you do that now. Back when she did it, it may have been easier. But they talk about the prices of doctor visits and all of that. So it was kind of interesting from that point of view. One of the many things that is often pointed out is that healthcare costs quite significantly less. Although, of course, many times one has longer waits to get in to see doctors. That's kind of the downside. And they didn't really address that. But you see what I mean, where there are certain words we can pull out of context. And I would say instalarse, try not to look that word up, because from context, you can probably figure that out. Yeah. So moving forward, my suggestion is going to be when you get an article like this, and I'm going to try to keep them to about maybe 3 pages about this length, try to limit yourself real strictly between 3 to 5 words to look up, and the rest of it, try to get it from context and see how close you get when we evaluate it later. That makes sense?
Okay.
See, vale la pena? Worth it? Any other questions on that article? Any really specific stuff? Structures?
I have a question, but if we're finished with this article, but I'd like to ask before you move on to the kind of the next part of discussion.
That's okay.
And I hope everyone else will forgive me. I hope this is just a 60-second answer.
That's okay.
So I tried speaking a sentence or two yesterday with a native Spanish speaker. So some gals that come in and clean our house every couple of weeks.
Oh, sure.
And I thought I had this all worked out, but I got tripped up on, and this is going to sound like a really simple question, but I'm a little bit confused. The difference between the word to you and to you.
Muy buena pregunta. That's a super good question.
And then afterwards, after you help us or help at least me understand that, I'll give you the sentence in the context of what this came from.
Okay. Bien.
Is that okay with everyone else?
Yes.
Excellent. Always, these little questions are always good, because if it's a question for you, I guarantee somebody else either has heard that little twist before or they will.
Don't worry, Mark. When somebody is asking question, usually the rest of us is gonna get the benefit out of it too.
That's right. Yeah. No.
I just didn't want to hijack the meeting.
Oh, come on, it's fine.
Okay. So I'm going to give you a short answer and then give me your context. Momentito. Tú, you, and he, you. Oh, shoot. That's not helpful, is it? Okay. So, okay. So here's another little clue. Here it starts to come into form. So what was your example, Marcos?
Okay, my example was in English, I have a check for you. And so I said, tengo un cheque para tú.
Para ti.
Oh, para ti.
But it's
And it should be para
ti.
sí.
And then I.
But you got the para right.
Yeah, I knew that. I got that one thanks to us having worked that already. That it's for
And that's
someone.
no little thing. That's no little thing. See, tengo un cheque para ti. Sí, para ti. Okay. So here is the difference. Tú is the subject. So when tú, there is this plethora, this universe of pronouns. And the short answer is that tú is a subject pronoun and ti is a prepositional pronoun. And because you were saying for you, for is a preposition. Yeah. So when we need to say but now, so why is that hard for us in English? Because wait, these are the same word. Yeah. You are going to the store. You have a check. You Ooh, you got a dirty house.
Well, not anymore.
Tengo una casa muy, muy, muy sucia. Sí, es la verdad que sí. Yo sí tengo una casa muy sucia. Bien. When we're talking about the person as the subject, it will be tú. All right. When we're talking about using the word you after a preposition in English, we don't change that word, but in Spanish, we do have to. So the clue is not to be thinking, oh my gosh, I'm using a preposition. Know what the preposition, here are the kinds of words that ti will come after. Para ti, for you. Even if it were por ti, because of you. Yeah. Sí. De ti, right? A ti, like muy común. A ti te gusta? A ti te gusta? Somebody wants to say, "Ooh, you like this. Ooh, a ti te gusta? A ti te gusta? Sí, bien. A ti te gusta." Anything with ti. With this one con, it won't be conti, it'll be contigo. It does a little blip there. There's an odd one, but yeah, this preposition con gets a special word all its own, contigo. But with other things, it won't. It'll be, with other things, it sometimes does, conmigo. Yeah, but everything else, it'll be regular. Con él, con ellos, con nosotros. Yeah, does the same thing. Bien.
But
So,
in those just now, when you say con él, con ellos, él and ellos would also be a subject pronoun, right?
yeah. So, yeah. So here's the thing. Prepositional pronouns, so just quick rundown, because this doesn't take long at all. Prepositional pronouns. They're going to be these words, me. Oh, same old word. Oh, different word. Same old word, but you don't use that one. El, same old word. Same old word. Same old word. Same old word, same old word. Wow, here are the only two that change as prepositional pronouns, me and ti, me and ti. So the clue is to know what are prepositions. They're these little little words, you know. En is a preposition. See? So all these little words, para, por, de, con, and I'm probably leaving out a whole bunch of them, but you know, yeah, these little words are prepositions. So
me and T are the outliers, yeah.
They're the outliers.
Okay, well now I don't feel so bad that I was totally stumped here.
Because there were solamente hay dos, there are only two, right? But you know what? I bet she understood what you meant, even though you said para tú, it doesn't, it sounds odd to them, but you know, and we don't have a similar mistake you can make in English because we use the same word. Yeah, so you know.
What about that Shakira song though? Didn't she say para tú? Yeah. Or was it para ti?
Para ti.
She was so mad at that fella.
I'm trying to remember the lyrics.
I digress. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. No, I know what you're saying. I would have to hear the lyrics again. Yeah. Now I'm going to go back and listen to that after we're done.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't open up more wound.
No, yeah.
I heard that on the radio the other
Para
day.
ti. Oh, did you really? Yeah. Para ti. So, para ti. Buena pregunta. Really good question. Wow. Okay. Gracias. Thank you for those questions. Those are excellent questions, and you should bring up questions like that. Okay. Otra pregunta. Hay otra pregunta. Anything else? No? Okay, let's dive into some of our conditional stuff. Okay, and let's preview what conditional is going to mean. But we're going to show a little video that shows a different use of conditional. Super helpful before we do our practice. Es muy útil. Pero primero, first, let's review what the heck we're talking about. El condicional, conditional, and it means somebody would do something. But be careful, cuidado. The one caveat warning I would give you on this is not the English would of Grandpa would always keep a candy in his pocket for me. That would is imperfecto, right? When would in English means a habitual action in the past, habitual, it actually happened a lot, then it's not this. This is the would of, I would like to travel around the world when I retire. I would need to see that item before I buy it online. I would need to try that on before I buy it. That kind of would. That would doesn't talk about a habit. I would travel. I would like to travel around the world. That kind of would is talking about a hypothetical, not a habit from the past. That's okay. Entienden, understand? In English, we have two uses for that would. But in Spanish, this conditional means the would of hypotheticals. Okay, so tengo que engrandecer. Okay, bien. So in Spanish, fortunately, it is a fairly easy tense to use, and there are going to be things that you would normally assume should be irregular that aren't. So that's kind of nice to know. So conditional, we'll use the whole infinitive. We don't get rid of the AR, ER, IR. That's how we recognize this. All the infinitives use the same conjugations, so I don't have separate things for AR and then ER, IR on the other side. They all use the same things. And you already know the endings because they look like imperfect. They look like the imperfect that are for the ER and IR. They all look like this kind of a root. Yeah. So, ella, ellas, ella again for él, ella, usted, íamos, ian. So they sound like comería. I used to eat, yo comería, but it's comería. We keep the ER on. Comería. You got to listen. Okay. They might be slightly harder to pronounce because we're keeping the whole infinitive. You guys are used to right now getting rid of the ER. So having an extra syllable of that AR, ER, IR that you don't get rid of can make it kind of a mouthful to pronounce if you've got a long verb. So comería is not a horrible jump. Lavaría is not a horrible jump. Sería, not a horrible jump. That's not a mouthful. Iría, I would go, not a horrible big jump. Okay. AR, ER, IR, they all use these same endings. Would, wash, lavaría. Would be, sería. Would go, iría. That's not bad. But once you get a word like trabajar, trabajaría is a long word to pronounce. So, ojo, watch out, because every once in a while, when you get a long verb like trabajar, funcionar, yeah, one of those 3 or 4 syllable verbs, you'll kind of notice that it's a little troublesome to keep that whole infinitive together and then tag on that ending. in terms of pronunciation. Yeah. A little harder to pronounce. Okay. And then we're going to have these, which are irregulars. These are not all of the irregulars, by the way, but you're going to notice some things like ser is not irregular in conditional. Ir is not irregular. You're used to those two verbs being irregular all the time, but not in this particular tense. Yeah. And so this isn't all of them, but these are going to be things that you hear quite a lot. And I'm going to tell you, this one right here is heavily used in conditional. Poder is heavily used in conditional. Okay. This you're going to see in our video is heavily used in conditional. And these others, it's going to depend. Yeah. So what do they mean in conditional? Would be able to, could, I guess you could say. There would be, somebody would have, somebody would go out or would leave, hypothetically. I would go out with that guy. He's really cute. If he were to ask me out, right? You know, a couple young girls talking together. Oh, would put, you might think that's odd, but you'll see why it's not so odd. Would speak, you know, would say. Yo no diría eso. I would not say that. Hypothetically. Okay. ¿Qué haría? What would you do? Hypothetically, ¿qué haría? This will be something you're going to need to know for next week, more than right now. ¿Qué haría? What would you do? Sabría, would know. Are you going to use that a lot? Maybe not. Querría, this is going to come up in the video. And vendría, for venir would come. Well, yeah. But do notice that querría with a strong trill, querría is not the same as quería. So here's the one little again, a caveat. Here, this is a pronunciation thing. Quería with a little trill. Quería, I wanted, past. But look, querría is conditional, strong trill. So that does make a difference. And why does that happen? That happens because here's what happens with this word querer. What happens with a lot of these irregulars, the pattern for the irregulars is often that vowel goes away. And once I do that, I get that double R. So this double R that you hear as querría, with a strong trill, is from that ER, the E from the ER of querer going, oh, bye-bye. And therefore, I've got now these two R's together. Okay, so, okay.
So that's would one. Is that what that means? Querría.
Yeah, querría means would want. But you're going to see how they're going to use querría in this little video because it really is used. The use for querría is to order stuff. Maybe. To say, I would like something. We don't actually use the word like. We might use this, querría, okay? So you're going to hear it. So here's the practical use. Oh, and I'm sorry, perdón. Disculpen, excuse me. Okay, because we want to do this. Here is how you're going to hear some of these verbs used in this video. Some verbs come up in conditional to soften a request. So hypothetically, somebody would do something is one use of conditional, but another use, which you're going to hear in the video, is softening a request. And this comes from a place of actually like a cultural issue more than anything else. Commands in Spanish are seen as very formal and very much in your face and pretty harsh. So when we need service from another human being in a even in a family setting, in a store setting, when we're asking people to do things for us, it is frequent to hear this conditional used as softening a request. And here are the three verbs you're going to hear in the video. For ordering stuff, when you go out, poder, deber, querer. You're going to hear these three. And poner as well. Wow, I should have put another one in there. Poner. You're going to hear that as well. So we'll sneak that one in. We'll sneak that in, but you'll see why. Bien. Poner, could you me pondrías traer un vino? Could you bring me a wine? Or me podrías, perdón, me podrías traer, could you bring me? That is seen as being much more polite and, yeah, making a request. To say you should, putting that in conditional is seen as being more polite. Deberías preguntarle means you should, you really ought to, or sometimes this is phrased as deberías de preguntarle. A lot of people use this as de. I can't get my, can I get that to work? Okay. Bien. You'll hear poner in the video. Querer, would like to order something. Querría un café is one way of saying, I would like a coffee. Even though that I know it means want, but in English, we wouldn't say I would want a coffee. We would say I would like a coffee. So this is one use. So here's what you're going to hear. Those are some of the ideas you're going to hear in the video. Okay. A ver. So here is putting this into practice, a time when conditional will truly will be helpful to you in ordering stuff. We get my boxes checked. Here we go. Aquí vamos. Here we go. And they're going to limit this to a certain number of verbs.
¿Te apetece un café?
Do you feel like a coffee?
Tomamos un café.
Let's have a coffee.
Vamos a por un café.
Let's go for a coffee.
Aquí en España, pedir un café puede ser a veces algo confuso. En este video te explicaremos 3 maneras para poder pedir tu café y además te explicaremos los errores más frecuentes para poder así evitarlos y pedir tu café de manera cortés. ¿Están listos?
Okay, and you're going to see this idea of puedo, can I? When you want to say, can I have a coffee? You don't want to say something like puedo tener un café, because puedo tener un café just means, can I actually hold this in my hand? But if you really want to say, can I have a coffee because you're ordering it, you need to not say puedo, can I?
Vamos.
You need to say something else. And they're going to give you alternatives.
Comenzaremos por lo más sencillo. Sí, un café, por favor.
Now, they're going to start with no verb at all.
Sí, para mí un café.
Here's the oddball para mí. Here's your oddball me word. You never want to say para yo. Para mí. No verb at all. So first alternative, no verb at all. Para mí. For me, this. You can order with no verb at all.
Aquí están los pedidos más comunes.
Un café con leche, por favor.
No verb at
Un
all.
café con leche.
No verb at all.
Para mí, un café cortado.
And para mí is really a great thing for ordering because somebody always knows you're ordering when you start with para mí. And, you know, if you're ordering a plate for everybody at the table, para nosotros, for us, because they know they're serving all of you and you're going to share the dish. Okay, so everybody knows you're ordering when you start with para mí.
Un cortado. Decís el tipo de café que querés y por favor.
Un café solo, por favor.
So always the please
Una
word.
taza de té.
Un té, porfa.
Yeah, and porfa, they're just shortening por favor to porfa. That's all.
Un café con leche de soja. En España se dice
And I never
soja
say soja,
y se
soya,
escribe con J. En América se dice soya
soya.
y se escribe con Y. Un café con leche de soya.
No verb. Yeah.
Para mí, un café con leche y leche de avena, porfa.
Un descafeinado.
Decaf.
Ahora, puede sonar un poco más sofisticado.
Now we sound a little bit more in the know. Smooth operator if you plug in a verb instead of just para mí.
Utilizar una frase completa. Aquí te daremos unas cuantas frases con los verbos más comunes. El primero de ellos, el verbo
Poner. Poner is used to order a lot of stuff, especially drinks in Spain. And it's kind of like the thing from the old Hollywood Western, the cowboy walks into the bar and says, you know, set up the drinks. Yeah, line them up. That's the meaning of poner. Poner means to put or to place, and they're setting up a drink for you. So that's why poner works for ordering. Put it in front of me. Set it up. Set up the drinks.
poner.
And we're going to show you two tenses you use for ordering. You can use plain old present tense or you can use conditional. So here's al grano. The point is you can use poner in either present tense or conditional to order. And that's what people who are waiters expect to hear out of you. If you use poner to order with a full sentence, they expect to hear either present with a please or poner, and you might drop the please with poner in conditional.
Sí, disculpe. ¿Me pone un café, por favor?
And look at how many polite things. Disculpe, polite. Me pone, hey, set up a coffee for me. That doesn't sound so polite, but por favor. So it's polite. So plain old present works and conditional will also work with poner.
¿Me pones un café, por favor?
So there's just the two alternative because young people don't bother with usted quite often. They go straight into tú. You know, waiter's young, you're young, they'll use tú.
Sí, disculpe. ¿Me pondría un café, por favor?
Here's the conditional. We use conditional to soften a request when we're ordering things or asking for help in any situation, asking for help in a hospital, in a store, in a cafe, in a restaurant, anywhere like that. Post office, lo que sea, whatever it might be. Excuse me, me pondría un café, por favor. And always nice to include the por favor, but you know, me pondría already is making it polite. So people might drop the por favor with conditional because it's considered a polite tense.
¿Me pondrías un café, por favor?
Yeah. Could I have a coffee? Could you set up a coffee for me, please?
Se puede usar tanto el presente de indicativo como el condicional. Para sonar más formal, se utiliza el condicional.
Conditional is considered more formal. So, and he's going to explain why he does that.
Personalmente hablando,
I
yo
always use it, he
siempre
says.
utilizo o el condicional o el trato de usted, principalmente por el hecho de que en Bolivia es bastante común el trato de usted hacia una persona que no conocemos o que está trabajando.
So usted is considered more polite with people who are in a work setting or people we don't know on a personal basis. Young people will devolve into the tú form, but usted, for most of us, talking with other adults is considered more standard. Okay.
En cambio, aquí en España es muy común el
Spain
tú.
likes the tú form.
El siguiente es el verbo dar.
So now we're going to see them go through the same exercise instead of poner with dar. And it sounds very abrupt in English to say, hey, give me a beer. You know, if you're 20 and you walk into a bar, 21, and you walk into the bar, hey, give me a beer. It doesn't sound that rude, maybe, but to us, it might sound a little abrupt. To them, that's not abrupt at all. Poner is used to order stuff. Dar is used to order stuff. Okay. And so just as we used both indicativo, plain or present tense, and a condicional, we're going to do the same pattern.
¿Me da un espresso, por favor?
¿Me das un café, por favor?
And notice, por favor, with very important to use the por favor with present tense. So you don't sound like you're, hey, do it now.
¿Me daría un café con leche?
More polite. You're a smoother operator. Me daría, would you give me? Me daría un café.
¿Me darías un café?
Smoother, even with tú, still more polite. Would you?
Puede que en inglés suene un poco mal. Give me a coffee. Pero en español, no te preocupes. Es muy común que la gente pida un café de esta manera. El tercer verbo es el verbo querer.
So now they're going to go through the same thing with querer. And this is where English, we don't really say, well, we might say I want a coffee. And they're going to show you that. Again, they're going to take querer, use presente, present tense, and condicional, conditional.
Y también puede sonar un poco mal si no estás muy acostumbrado a escucharlo. Quiero un café cortado, por favor.
But notice we put a por favor, again, with present, use por favor because it's more polite.
Quiero tomar un cortado, por favor.
Querría un café solo, por favor.
And here is the more polite, querría. Some of you may be thinking, what about that word quisiera? Quisiera is used the same way as querría. Querría, I would like. Quisiera has the same connotation of I would like, but it's a past subjunctive. You just need to memorize that word quisiera. Quisiera is kind of an equivalent for querría. They mean the same thing. They're used in the same context. You can plug in either word. Quisiera, querría, conditional. It works.
Puede sonar demasiado directo. Decir, quiero un café. Pero si querés que suene un poco más educado y un poco más suave, puedes añadir un por favor. Quiero un café, por favor. Ahora ya te hemos explicado 3 maneras que hay para poder pedir un café. Pero ahora vamos a destacar los errores más frecuentes.
And I'm only going to show you one error. You can watch the rest of these yourself later on. Now they have some shameless self-promotion. That's okay.
Ahora, a ver estos errores.
Okay, errores.
Muy buenos días, ¿qué le pongo?
And notice that, what should I set up for you? What should I get for you?
Hola, me gusta un café.
Me gusta un café, never order this way. This is just stating a fact. I like coffee. I might like a lot of things, but what do you want to order? Yeah. So here's the only error I'm going to show you. I'll let you watch the rest.
Ya, a mí también.
Yeah, I like it too, but what do you want? Okay, so when you order something, never me gusta un café. I'd like a coffee, because we're translating in our heads if we do that. But contextually, all that tells the waiter is, I like coffee, but well, you might like 6 things on the menu. What do you want to order? So yeah, we can't use just me gusta to order.
Pero ¿qué desea tomar?
He's being kind of cute there.
Me gusta un café, por favor.
So of course, if you make a mistake, just keep saying that same mistake a little bit louder and maybe they'll get it.
Sure thing.
Yeah.
It'll be 120, please.
Okay. So he segged back. This is when people are going to seg into English with you because they clearly are like, okay, you don't get it. Okay. And some people may know you're making that mistake, but they kind of give up on you. Yeah, stating that you like something doesn't mean you want to order that thing.
In a restaurant context, though, could you say like, you're looking at a menu, oh, I'd like fish. What do you suggest? Or something like that, as opposed to I'm ordering a specific thing.
In that, if you use gustaría, would like, here's how you need to use gustaría. Gustaría needs to be used with a second verb. So, por ejemplo,
Like gustaría comer pescado.
me gustaría comer pescado. ¿Qué recomienda? ¿Qué me recomienda? What do you recommend me? Me gustaría comer pescado hoy. ¿Qué me recomienda? What do you recommend me? Sí. Always me gustaría with a verb. Never me gustaría with a thing. Okay? Never me gustaría pescado. Me gustaría comer pescado. I know that sounds kind of like nitpicking, but es así. That's just the way that is. Okay? And let me show you an example of that. Un ejemplo. Me gustaría hablar mejor. I would like to speak better. You would like to do something. When we use gustar or encantar, we want to pair it with a verb. Me encantaría viajar en julio. I would love to travel in July. So we pair it with a second verb. Okay. Or, sería posible pagar con tarjeta. Would it be possible to pay with a card, credit card, like instead of cash, that kind of thing. Bien. Okay. Let's see if we can use some of these. And we're going to just take this first one. We're going to take these in kind of some baby steps here. ¿Qué te gustaría hacer este verano? ¿Qué te gustaría hacer este verano? What would you like to do this summer? ¿Qué te gustaría hacer? Me gustaría, what would theoretically?
Visitar a montaña.
Sí, me gustaría hacer ejercicio muy temprano. Very early, ¿sí? Para evitar el calor del día. Me gustaría hacer ejercicio muy temprano. I would like to exercise really early. Okay. Otras ideas. ¿Qué te gustaría hacer? What would you like to do this summer? Bien, Trish.
Me gustaría viajar a California con mi hija y su familia.
Me gustaría viajar a some place. Magnífico. Otra idea. Sí, Marcos.
Me gustaría ir a muchos partidos de béisbol.
Oh, perfecto. Me gustaría ir a muchos partidos de béisbol. I'd like to go to lots of ball games. Perfecto. Sí, bueno, algo más, something else. This is how we can use
viajar a Alaska por barco.
Wow. Sí, en crucero. En crucero, en a cruiser. Sí, los cruceros.
Barco.
Los cruceros.
Un barco pequeño.
Un barco pequeño, no en crucero.
Sí que 54 personas. 54 personas.
Muy interesante. Sí, y para viajar a Alaska siempre sería mejor, it would be better, en verano.
Sí,
Eso es, sí. Sí, no sería
Justo.
posible en invierno.
sí.
No sería posible en invierno a
Ujú.
Alaska. Perfecto. Otra idea. ¿Qué te gustaría hacer este verano?
Me gustaría ir a Colorado para visitar mis amigos.
Excelente. Fantástico. Otra idea. ¿Otro? ¿Otro? Or we skip the next question? Oh, and you're on mute.
Diane said she was going by boat and she used pour.
Por barco, sí.
I'm looking back over my notes on the 50-50 kind of, and I'm trying to figure out why I would choose pour versus par.
By means of, when you're talking about a method using a certain device or certain means, by means of is por,
Okay. Mhm.
right? You could also say en barco,
Sí.
also acceptable. Me
Okay.
gustaría ir en barco, bien, me gustaría ir por barco, igual, lo mismo,
Okay.
same thing. Sí, but by means of. Sí, hablamos por teléfono, talk by phone, by means of is always that. Okay, vale.
Gracias.
Bueno. Siguiente. ¿Qué deberías hacer pronto? What should you really do soon? ¿Y qué deberías hacer pronto? And this hacer is what we take out this word hacer and throw it away and we plug in a different word, right? In most cases, we're plugging in the thing you should do. ¿Qué deberías hacer pronto? Por ejemplo, yo debería cortar el oleander enfrente de mi casa. Yo debería cortar el oleander, ¿sí? El arbusto, ¿sí? Enfrente de mi casa. Ok, otras ideas. ¿Qué deberías? What should you? ¿Qué deberías hacer? Pronto, Trish, dime.
Yo debería lavar mi auto o carro pronto.
Bien. Ok, Jan, ¿tienes algo?
No,
Ok.
miento.
Ok, está bien. Diana, sí.
Debería plantar las verduras en mi jardín.
Sí, en Illinois, sí, deberías plantar las plantas, las verduras en el jardín. El abril es el mes ideal para cultivar o plantar muchísimas cosas.
Sí.
Ok, perfecto. Aquí en Arizona, no. Marco, sí.
Debería comprar una lavadora nueva.
Lo siento.
Mi lavadora murió.
Murió. A great way. Se me descompuso. It broke down on me. Se me descompuso. It broke down on me. Se me descompuso.
Sounds more tragic just to say it died.
Murió, sí. Murió.
And
Lo siento.
you don't use romper. No, you don't use romper.
Se rompió, broke down.
Se
Oh,
rompió.
sí, es posible, sí.
Okay.
Se rompió, it broke down. But probably not romper by itself, probably romperse. Se rompió, it broke. Yeah. Because otherwise, romper would be like, you pick something up and yeah.
So it broke itself. It broke itself.
Broke down. Yeah. Okay. Bueno, otra idea.
Debería ir por un masaje.
Muy bien.
Qué relajante, qué relajante. Es, bien. Sí, debo estirarme los músculos, debo reestirarme, sí, debo estirarme, estirarme los músculos, I should stretch, debería estirarme los músculos, así.
Estirar, stretch.
Sí, estirarse is to stretch yourself. So when you want to stretch, when you're stretching. Sí. Estirarse, sí. Bueno, otra idea.
Debería lavar las ropas ahora mismo.
La ropa, sí. Debería lavar la ropa. La ropa siempre es la ropa, la ropa. We never use la ropa in a plural sense. I don't know why, but we don't. Es así, it's just that way. Okay, otra idea.
Debería escribir un correo electrónico a mis hermanos.
Sí, muy bien, muy bien, muy bien. Ok, bueno, siguiente. Momentito. ¿Dónde te encantaría viajar? ¿Dónde te encantaría viajar? Where would you love to travel? ¿Dónde te encantaría viajar? Me encantaría viajar a Italia. Me encantaría viajar a Italia, a Venecia, Florencia, Roma. Sí, Milano, quizás, ok, sí. ¿Dónde te encantaría viajar? Where would you guys like to travel? Alaska. Ya sabemos, we already know. Okay.
Me encantaría viajar a España.
Sí. Y España también, sí. Bien. Excelente.
You going there for summer, Jan?
No.
You look different today. You're like full, like that. Usually you just look a little bit on the camera, but today you're like, okay, we can see you.
The iPad, I fixed my iPad.
Mi iPad, sí, es un iPad.
Okay.
Una tabla de iPad, sí, bien. Okay. Okay, let's fit one more in because, we're coming up close here. We took a little bit longer, but that's okay. Está bien. Okay. A tu esposo o a tu esposa, ¿sí? And this tú is not the a ti. This is the tú that is your spouse. Yeah. So this is not the tú with the accent mark, right? It's tu esposo. These ideas are connected. A tu esposo, ¿qué le gustaría comer? ¿Qué le gustaría comer? A mi esposo le gustaría comer, le gustaría comer salmón. Okay. Bueno, Trish.
Mi esposo te gustaría las zanahorias. Su apodo es Coco.
Oh, we couldn't catch that last part.
Yeah.
Su apodo es Conejo. His name is Rabbit. He loves carrots.
Okay. Sí, zanahorias I caught, but I couldn't. Yeah, conejo, bunny rabbit. Okay. Bien. Otra. ¿Qué le gustaría comer?
If you want to say
Mi
your
esposo le
spouse's,
gustaría comer tocino y huevos.
Tocino y huevos, sí. Bacon and eggs. Bien, sí. Y Nora, pregunta.
if I want to say his name, do I say Bob?
A Bob le gustaría comer. Bob would like to eat. A Bob le gustaría comer.
Salmon. También.
Salmón también. Sí. A Bob también. Perfecto. Ok.
A mi esposa le gustaría comer todos los pescados.
Pescado, el pescado. Ella es Gran fan del pescado. She's a big fish fan. Sí, yo soy muy aficionada al pescado también. ¿Ok? Bien. Okay. And let's skip one thing over here. Okay. I'm going to say we're going to leave these for next week. So if you didn't get a chance, next week, you will get a chance. Yeah. Okay. But we'll go straight into this because I'm not going to give you a reading for the week. I'm going to give you a video, and you're going to, again, hear, it's going to be a video where you're going to hear some conditional used. You might hear it mixed up in this kind of context, like in number 4, para que sepan, just so you know. If I had more money, I would do. This is going to be a true hypothetical. So you're going to hear them weaving in these verbs, and just know, you don't have to know how to speak these verbs. Just know they're talking about true hypotheticals. If I had this money, I would do this. So you want to know how to do the I would part. Okay, the I would part. I'm going to add one more slide onto the end of this because you're going to have some extra questions beyond these that we didn't finish that are going to tie into the video. What she's going to be talking about, the extra thing I'm going to tie in is things you would change if you could. And we're going to keep it very non-political. You know, those little annoying everyday things that you would change. This is a video where you're going to hear her use some conditional. If I ruled Spain, if I ruled my country, I would. And she doesn't really talk about a whole lot of political stuff, but, you know, the little everyday nitpicky stuff that annoys her about her. Yeah. So this is not designed as a political statement, but do turn on the CC box, the closed captions, so you can see, and you'll see some things like tuviera if I had, or pudiera if I could. Don't worry about those. They come from tener, come from poder, but do notice how she uses what you would do. Okay, and there's the hypothetical part. So there are going to be some questions that tie into her concept of things about our everyday life, little annoying junk that we would change. Okay? Bien?
Sí.
Which I think is a big enough chunk without sending out a reading for 1 week. Está bien? Good. And I'm going to send you the link to re-watch the coffee ordering video. Listen for the mistakes at the end, because they are very typical mistakes, and just kind of make a mental note of, oh, don't do that. Okay, I think there are 1 or 2 other items they bring up of errors not to make. Bien. Okay, that's it. Eso es todo. Bien.
Gracias.
De nada.
Gracias.
De nada. Okay, it's a little harder video, so no reading this week, because that'll probably be enough for you to do with your question, and then come back with some things to talk about using conditional. Okay, todo bien, all good.